This is Weah for the US. And Weah does well! Very well! Christian Pulisic on the pitch for a matter of moments. With that in net.
Today on FIFAmerica, we are going to preview the Mexico versus US men's national team game, the way that I think both teams will line up, the keys to the game, and the starting 11 that I would go with for the US national team. Let's go! I really think there's two specific ways that the US can line up in this game, and it really depends on a player that none of us really expected, and that player is James Sands. If he is in the lineup, we will be playing a 5 in the back against Mexico, with Sands as kind of a center back that can push up into the midfield and give us numbers in the midfield. It will look like a 5-2-3 in defense and a 3-4-3 in attack. We played this way in the Nations League. We saw James Sands in this position against Martinique, and it's one of the wrinkles that I think Greg was working on with the team. It's a bit more defensive, but it's not necessarily passive, as I would explain it. It really looks to absorb pressure and still give you numbers in the midfield so that you can overcome some of those discrepancies where Mexico's 4-3-3, their 3 midfielders, can overcome our 2 midfielders in possession. Now, on the other hand, I really feel like we're going to keep it consistent with the rest of qualifying, except for the first half in Honduras, and the US could potentially play a 4-3-3, and this will not include players like Weston McKennie, Brenden Aaronson, and others that either are injured or not in camp. While we really look to dominate and control the midfield in the home match against Mexico, I don't necessarily think that we can do that with the midfielders that we have available for this game. So I really think even if we're playing in the 4-3-3, we will keep it very compressed and look to work in transition. Mexico, on the other hand, plays a very heavy tempo press, I would call it. They like to counter press in a 4-3-3, but they're also very comfortable keeping the ball and working to disorganize the defense if they are allowed. I really think the difference between the two qualifiers, the US national team at home against Mexico and this game in Azteca on Thursday night, is going to be the quality in the midfield. Now, if the US does play Tyler Adams, he is currently 1 yellow card away from a yellow card suspension. It's kind of everything that everyone is talking about. If Tyler Adams plays and Yunus Musah is able to play for the US, then we're really only replacing Weston McKennie. Now, if that's the case, the midfield could potentially be good enough to control play and dictate some of the pace of the game like we did in the home game. Now, what I think will happen is Tyler Adams will sit for this game so that he's ready and fresh against Panama. And if that's the case and Kellyn Acosta is playing the 6 or James Sands is playing the 6 in a 4-3-3, I really don't think our midfield is good enough to dictate the pace of play. The thing about the home game is that midfield really allowed us to just crush Mexico into a pulp. The Mexican defense in that game also had a bunch of red cards and injuries. They were really weakened back line. So between that and their midfield that wasn't able to keep the ball, the US really dominated that game. Now, because of Weston McKennie's injury and Mexico's team having a bit more form and health in their back line, I don't think it's going to be that easy this time. Now, I want to remind everyone that our wins were at home. The 3 in a row games that we've won have all been in the US. 2 of them have been in extra time. So just keep that in mind when you're thinking about realistic expectations for this game. Of course, we want to win. Of course, the US wants 3 points. But at the same time, it's not the same circumstances that we had in the last 3 games. The fact of the matter is the US has never won a qualifier in Azteca or in Mexico in general. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I really think that we should expect a draw and be happy with a draw or better in this game. Now, very quickly, let's just take a look at the previous game because I think there's 2 very interesting wrinkles that occurred, and we're going to take a look at the average positions for both teams. For the US, I want us to focus on the triangle of Yunus Musah, Sergino Dest, and Timothy Weah, and how Ricardo Pepi was furthest forward pushing the line. Now, that triangle on that side of the field between Dest, Musah, and Weah really dictated the type of play that we are having. We were able to get players behind the lines against Mexico, and that's how the first goal occurred with Pulisic as well. Timothy Weah really pushed forward the line, got the ball behind Mexico's defense, and whipped in a nice cross to Christian Pulisic. If we compare those positions to Mexico's, and this is the average position throughout the game, you can see that Jimenez, their number 9, their striker, had to actually drop deeper than both of their wingers to receive the ball, and both of their wingers, Lozano and Tecatito, were more forward. It almost looked like a false nine in practice, but it was really due again to our midfield dominance, and Jimenez had to drop really deep to get any touches on the ball. Now here are my keys to the game. I think this game will be won and lost with two factors, and it's very simple. It's transition and set pieces. Mexico is extremely good in getting behind defenses. Their wide players and getting behind through wide channels can really hurt us deeply, and especially if we push Anthony Robinson or DeAndre Yedlin high up the field, Jimenez drops in to take a ball. It really leaves those wide channels empty. They can hurt us in those areas deeply, and with the Wolves man Jimenez and Napoli winger Lozano, that front three looks very scary to the US defense. Now, one positive way about the way Mexico attacks is that it really unsettles their shape, and in a way, it kind of suits the US to be able to absorb pressure and play proactive counterattacking. When you think about the US way of playing and where we've really had trouble, well, we've had trouble playing against bunkering defenses, teams that are really parking the bus against us, and where we're most excellent is being able to run with defenders towards the goal. And at times we struggle when teams settle into that shape, but when we're able to run at defenses, that is when we're at our best. And I'm not just talking about getting players behind their defense, I'm literally talking about having the ball behind their last defender so that they are running at their own goal. That's what we need to make Mexico do. That is the only way through open play that we've actually scared and scored against Mexico, set pieces or having the ball behind their last defender. I want you to notice in the Pulisic goal how Timothy Weah truly put the ball behind the back line, and that was the most dangerous part of the game, and we scored. Now, the next way that we can hurt Mexico and have dominance in this game is on set pieces. Whether it's Kellen Acosta or Gio Reyna, one of them needs to be in this game to help whip in those set pieces because we have superiority in the air. I really think if Acosta is playing this game at the 6 and is an excellent free kick taker, we need to be looking to go down and take fouls in dangerous areas. Any one of Walker Zimmerman, Aaron Long, Miles Robinson can punish teams in the air. If we play our other tricky players that give us a bit more to do within the field, like Gio Reyna, Timothy Weah, Christian Pulisic, Luca De La Torre, Yunus Musa, all of them are very good dribblers and can draw fouls, go down, draw fouls, get cards for Mexico, and dangerous attacking set pieces for the US. Now, this one is a bit difficult to say because there's nothing that I want more than to go down to Mexico, absolutely bury their national team in Azteca, and leave with 3 points. But the fact of the matter is that the math is just too important to ignore, that the 3 points against Panama is more important. Now, against Mexico, we've won 3 matches in a row. We're a banged up team. It feels like all of the pressure is on Mexico to get a result from this game, and we can use that to our advantage. I would say the only thing for the US that will absolutely crush our chances if we play completely passively. And I want to talk about this for a moment because I think there's a huge difference between playing passively and playing defensively. I really think if the US plays defensively, they absorb pressure, and then they're able to hit on counterattacks with speedy players, get their tricky players into dangerous situations, and get those set pieces like we talked about. That is not the same as passive. We can play defensive and have 40 to 45% of possession and still have the better chances in this game. But I do think if we play very passively, and what I mean by that is everyone is dropping back, we have players behind the ball, we're not getting in behind their lines, we're not impacting their defense in any way, that is the way that we completely lose control of this game and walk out of Stadio Azteca with 0 points. Now for my starting 11. In goal, I really don't care if it's Zach Steffen or Ethan Horvath. It doesn't matter to me. Jedi Anthony Robinson starts at left back. Aaron Long and Walker Zimmerman are the center back pairing, and I think DeAndre Yedlin is a really nice right back in this. He's tidy, he's quick, he can play in this game, in this atmosphere. Then for me, I do sit Tyler Adams and have Kellen Acosta at the 6, with Luca De La Torre and Yunus Musa making up the middle 3. I think Timothy Weah and Jordan Morris are the wingers that go here just because of their speed and their ability to get in behind the defense. And for me, I can really go either way with any of the 3 strikers. But in this Mexico game, I might actually go with Ricardo Pepi because he's the best of the 3 at getting in behind and running at the goal with the defenders. But I really don't mind if this is Jesus Ferreira as well. Jordan Pefok did play in some of the games previously against Mexico, and didn't do as much. I think if he comes on as a super sub because we're trying to whip in crosses, that's absolutely fine. I think my preference would be Ricardo Pepi first, Jesus Ferreira a close second, and then Ricardo Pepi. Again, the US can come at this with two different styles, systems, formations, whatever you want to call them. But at the end of the day, I think the most important thing is to look for our air superiority in offense in dangerous areas, get in behind their defensive line with our quick wingers, and be able to have a stout defense like we've had for almost all of qualifying and keep it 0-0 as long as possible. I want to hear what you guys think though. I just am one man with one opinion. So let me know down below in the comments and let me know your result that you think is happening this Thursday night between the Mexican national team and the US men's national team. Until then, guys, I will see you the day after to talk about the game, to react to the game. I'll see you then on the next video of FIFAmerica. Peace.